Trump's Gaza plan has been exposed as a strategy to consolidate Israeli dominance under the guise of peace, rooted in the events of October 7, 2023, when Hamas attacks on southern Israel, particularly kibbutz, Be'eri and Sderot, killed 1,200 Israelis and took 251 hostages, prompting Israel's military operation in Gaza, which, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, claimed 42,438 Palestinian lives and destroyed infrastructure. Against this backdrop, U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan, presented on September 29, 2025, at the White House alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, appeared as a hopeful gesture, ostensibly for a ceasefire, hostage release, and rehabilitation of Gaza's 2.3 million Sunni Palestinians, but was, in reality, a complex maneuver designed to strengthen Israel's strategic supremacy and weaken Palestinian sovereignty, a fact revealed by comparing U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff's 21-point draft of September 27, 2025. With the final 20-point White House text which Netanyahu altered during a 6-hour meeting with Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner on September 28. These changes, corroborated by Axios and the Times of Israel, are not only detrimental to Palestinians but are fracturing the unity of the 22-member Arab League and the 57-nation Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. And according to Al Jazeera, this plan has deepened the historical wounds linked to the 1948 Nakba when 750,000 Palestinians were displaced. Witkoff's initial draft offered a glimpse of negotiation possibilities but remained ambiguous on Palestinian statehood, as it was crafted from informal talks in Cairo with Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdel Al Thani and Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdilati, proposing a balanced framework involving the release of 101 living Israeli hostages, including 29 children and elderly within 48 hours in exchange for 250 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences from the first 1987 to 1993 and second 2000 to 2005 intifadas. A key component was the phased withdrawal of the Israeli Defense Forces. The draft rejected the annexation of Area C in the West Bank home to 700,000 Jewish settlers and 3.2 million Palestinians, promised $50 billion in U.S. aid for Gaza's reconstruction, reminiscent of the economic partnership of the 1993 Oslo Accords. Conditional amnesty for Hamas members. Acknowledging the group's rule over Gaza since 2007 and its Muslim Brotherhood ties, gave hope to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, whose Fatah party controls the West Bank from Ramallah. Although vague on a timeline for a Palestinian state based on 1967 borders, this draft was seen as a basis for negotiation by Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the UAE, as it offered at least a preliminary outline for Palestinian sovereignty. And a BBC analysis noted its similarity to the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative, which offered peace in exchange for full Israeli withdrawal. However, Netanyahu's amendments destroyed the plan's balance and prioritized Israeli control, as on September 28, 2025, in the Roosevelt Room of the White House, Netanyahu imposed his Likud party's hardline policy opposing the return of territories annexed since the 1967 Six-Day War, radically altering the draft. The final 20-point plan, per the White House press release of September 29, conditions withdrawal on Israel's unilateral assessment that the terror threat has ended and maintains an indefinite IDF security perimeter in Gaza's Philadelphia corridor, a 14-kilometer strip along the Egyptian border at Rafah. This replicates the 2005 Gaza disengagement, where Israel removed ground troops but kept naval and air control, aligning with Netanyahu's total victory doctrine presented in the Knesset post-October 2023. The concept of a transitional government was also scrapped, replacing the Palestinian Authority's inclusion in Witkoff's draft with a technocratic committee and an international board, including U.S., European, and Arab representatives, but granting Israel veto power. These amendments, resulting from Netanyahu's diplomatic maneuvering and U.S. pressure, reveal the plan's unfair nature by demanding unilateral disarmament from Hamas while omitting reciprocal Israeli commitments like halting the expansion of 220,000 Jewish settlements in Hebron or East Jerusalem. According to Human Rights Watch, settlement activity in the West Bank increased by 15% by 2024, contradicting the plan's rhetoric. Promises like opposing West Bank annexation and $10 billion for water desalination in Deir al-Balah are mere rhetoric. As shown by the failure of the 2000 Camp David talks, where similar imbalances fueled violence leading up to the 2014 Gaza war, which killed 2,200 Palestinians and 73 Israelis. And a 2025 UN report warned that such unilateral conditions further erode Palestinian trust, as evidenced by the failure of the 1995 Oslo II Accord. Regional reactions highlighted cracks in Pan-Arab and Muslim solidarity, as on October 1, 2025, foreign ministers of Qatar, Jordan, the UAE, Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt issued a joint statement in Cairo supporting responsible verification of Hamas but imposing conditions of complete Israeli withdrawal and absence of forced displacement, crucial given the internal displacement of 1.9 million Palestinians since October 2023. Qatar's Sheikh Mohammed, who has provided $1.8 billion in aid to Gaza since 2012, and Egypt's Abdilati expressed disappointment over Israeli influence, fearing the security perimeter imposes the non-military Sinai of the 1979 Egypt-Israel Treaty onto Palestinian land. Jordan's King Abdullah II, custodian of Al-Aqsa for 500,000 East Jerusalem Palestinians, warned in Amman of a regional crisis like the 1967 Six-Day War. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, hosting Hamas's political office in Doha since 2018, termed the Plan A, U.S. Zionist conspiracy in Ankara. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman signaled displeasure through silence from Riyadh, though the Wall Street Journal hinted Saudi Arabia is considering normalizing ties with Israel post-2020 Abraham Accords. This response reflects deep regional disarray akin to the Arab division during the 2006 Lebanon war between Hezbollah and Israel. Pakistan's dual position further exacerbated tensions, as Trump praised the full support of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Muni promoted to Field Marshal in August 2025 after border skirmishes with India in the Oval Office on September 26, 2025, as aired on Fox News, but on October 1 in Islamabad, Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar denied this, stating Pakistan only supports the 8-nation OIC amendments and rejects the plan unless it includes points, like unimpeded aid for Bedouin communities in Raif. This led to protests by 5,000 PTI demonstrators in Lahore against Zionist slavery, linked by the Jerusalem Post to Pakistan's $4 billion IMF bailout and secret Saudi deals. This dual policy reveals U.S. pressure encouraging Sunni nations like the UAE and Bahrain to normalize ties with Israel post-2020 Abraham Accords, weakening the pan-Islamic unity of Palestinian support seen during the 1973 Yom Kippur War. And Dawn News reported that the Pakistani public, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's tribal areas, views the plan as a betrayal of Palestinians, having historically been a bastion of support for the Palestinian cause. In conclusion, Trump's Gaza plan termed a historic turning point by Netanyahu akin to the 1948 Nakba's displacement of 750,000 Palestinians reveals the logic of power. Witkoff's 21-point draft was viable for Doha talks, but Netanyahu's amendments turned it into a 20-point decree legalizing Israeli dominance over Gaza's 365 square kilometers. Hamas's likely rejection on October 5 and the 8-nation OIC's conditional support proved this duality not only buries Palestinian sovereignty but endangers the two-state solution of UN Resolution 240 to 1967. From Jenin's refugee camps to Beit Lahiya's besieged streets, a just framework for Palestinian dignity is indispensable. And with the World Bank's 2025 report stating Gaza's economy has shrunk by 90%. Without a fair solution, the violence of October 7 will engulf the Middle East again, just as the 2021 Sheikh Jarrah dispute ignited violence in Jerusalem.